Welcome to the Wireless Week webcast series. I'm Monica Olivan, Editor-in-Chief of Wireless Week. Today's topic is delivering carrier-grade 4G mobile video applications. Our agenda today is as follows. We will discuss the 4G mobile video market outlook and hear some forecasts, the industry's response, and then we will move into delivering or how to deliver consistent quality of service, which is very important, along with ensuring system-level reliability. And then one of our panelists will give us an example of a real-world carrier-grade mobile video solution that's out there now. And then we'll move into the question and answer session. And just a note for anyone in the audience can submit a question at any time during this webcast, and we will try to get to as many questions as we can. All right, so as you can see, we have a distinguished list of panelists today. Our first speaker will be Brian Partridge, Vice President of Anywhere Networks Research Group at Yankee Group. Brian, could you tell us a little bit about what you cover there at Yankee Group?
Sure. Thanks, Monica. And I'm really happy to be on the webinar today. My focus here at Yankee Group is really on the evolution of operators as they transition their networks from PSTN through NGN and ultimately to more IMS-like architectures. So sort of my day job is to focus on the infrastructure trends and then what's happening in terms of the service delivery platforms on top of them. But maybe the even more interesting thing I'm really looking at is understanding the business models related to really creating a business case to make these transitions. So it's really about technology evolution, but also about business model evolution is really where my research is at.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. After Brian, we'll have Bill Yeaman will speak. Bill is Vice President of Marketing at Go Ahead Software. Bill, could you tell us a little bit about Go Ahead for those in the audience who might not be familiar?
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Monica, and welcome to everyone. As Monica said, I'm Head of Marketing here at Go Ahead Software, responsible for global product management and product marketing. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Go Ahead Software, we are, in fact, a worldwide leader in open standards-based high availability and management software for carrier-grade applications for which downtime is absolutely unacceptable.
All right. All right. Thank you, Bill. And then our third speaker today will be Brian Wood, who is Vice President of Marketing at Continuous Computing. Brian, could you speak a little bit about continuous computing?
Sure, Monica, and hello, everyone. I'm the other Brian on this webinar. Continuous computing is a telecom infrastructure systems provider. What that means is we sell ATCA systems to network equipment providers, so not the carriers themselves, but the companies that supply the carriers. And those systems feature Trillium protocol software. We focus on three key market areas. It's long-term evolution, femtocells, and deep packet inspection. And we'll talk about DPI in my portion of the presentation.
Okay, great. All right, well, we have a lot to cover here today, so let's get started. Brian Partridge, would you take it away, please?
Absolutely. So for my first slide here, I wanted just to do a bit of context setting for those in the industry that, for those on the call who may or may not be familiar with what 4G is and why, frankly, operators are choosing to go down this path and upgrade their wireless networks. So the reason they're looking at 4G first is really consumer-driven and demand-driven. And what we find is that there's really an insatiable demand for the mobile internet and mobile data in particular. And this is maybe best manifested itself with the introduction of the iPhone and the impact that has had on the ability for AT&T to deliver a solid experience. But it's also about creating a better economic value proposition for the operator as it relates to delivering services. So what we had with the 2G and 2.5G networks was essentially circuit switch technology that was really built to deliver one service, voice. With 2.5G, what you had is essentially that same architecture with a packet network for data service sort of attached to the side of it. As we move into the 3G and beyond to 4G, what we're really talking about is a step change as it relates to the bandwidth availability on the network, as well as how that network is architected. And as we move to flatter IP architectures, what you're able to do is offer much better economics around the bandwidth. But conversely, by offering a much flatter and open IP-based architecture, operators, it's a double-edged sword to a certain extent in that they open themselves up to more competition for services. And just as we've seen the operators go through these pains on the fixed side, a lot of that is what we have in store on the mobile internet side as well. So really there's a competitive dynamics coming from every angle, and that really creates a requirement for operators to change how they do business, how they partner in the marketplace, how they architect their networks and IT systems. So today we're really going to focus on the implications of all this evolution from the video perspective, but is really, video is an important part of this conversation, but it's not the only part. The bottom line here is that 4G is going to unlock the power and the potential of the mobile internet to a large extent for the network operators who deploy the technology. But the key question that we all have is who is actually going to be the ultimate generator of profits from the services that fill the pipe. So in terms of looking at some data, I'm an analyst, so I'm going to show you some data. What we see, and I borrowed this graph on the left from Cisco, is essentially explosive growth in the data traffic. In fact, mobile data traffic is forecasted here to double every year through 2013 and increase 66 times between 2008 and 2013. An interesting note here, in the 7 years from 2005 to 2012, mobile data traffic will have increased 1,000-fold. The internet grew at about the same rate in 14 years, so the same amount of growth in half the time in a percentage basis. And the lion's share of this traffic in 2013 will be video, and hence hence this webinar, and hence the amazing amount of interest in understanding how to deliver video services, how to monetize them, and how to build the right business models around them. One other area that we could allocate an entire webinar to is really understanding what are the technologies along the path to 4G. I'm going to assume that everyone has a conversational understanding of the difference between LTE and WiMAX. What we'll say here is that while WiMAX has created itself a market lead based on its commercial availability, WiMAX and LTE ultimately are pointing at different markets, where WiMAX is really pointed at a portable and untethered broadband opportunity, where LTE is more along the mobile evolution path, and this has been the technology of record for mobile operators moving from either GSM or CDMA. So in terms of keys to success, and really what informs this type of slide is what we've seen thus far in terms of mobile experience on the 3G networks, which was the user experience wasn't good. And so all of these other points sort of feed into this. So we've got to get the user experience right for 4G video, and that's going to entail many pieces, some of which we'll discuss today in terms of network architecture and the techniques by which we deliver services. But in the context and the lens through by a telco is evaluating their business case and opportunity related to 4G video, because we'll talk more about this. So there's many different types of video, and some of it is sort of outside of the revenue stream of the operator in an over-the-top context. But the operators need to really bring to bear the assets that they can bring to an experience, ultimately feeding the user experience, but also to content producers as it relates to the context that they can provide about a consumer, about where they are, who they are, what they like, as well as the ability to control to a certain extent that experience, such that you're able to ensure that there's a high quality experience at